Hello, my friends. One of my friends, Francine, proposed me to present my electronic paintings, La Porte de Lumière, The Gate of Light, in the church of Saint Pierre de Montmartre, the oldest church in Paris, built on a Romanesque base, located next to the Sacré-Cœur on February 8, 1985. The painting was animated by the song of the Little Singers of Montmartre, and as I feared that the voices could not be enough to animate the painting properly, I had asked that a contemporary jazz trio be added as an interlude. I had met them in a jazz school for experienced musicians, ISCP, directed by Alain Silva, a famous avant-garde American jazz musician who led an exceptional formation, the Celestrial Communication Orchestra. I had known Alain for a long time before, introduced by Sandy, who I will talk about later, and was very important in my life. The first time I heard him in concert was at the Maison de la Radio, with an orchestra of 26 musicians, several pianos, several drums. While in those days of vinyl records, the longest tracks were 25 minutes long, the concert lasted non-stop for 2.25 hours. A difficult free jazz music at first, but when we manage to penetrate it, you let yourself be carried away by its charm. I had found him at the fair that he had come to visit and was surprised to find me there as an artist when he had known me as an architect student. He was very interested in my animating achievements in music, which he came to see at my home and which were in line with his musical research. Moreover, afterwards he ordered me an electronic painting that he used in a perception room for use with purpose I never understood. In several occasions, I accompanied his orchestra on trips to the provinces, to Le Havre and Charleville-Mézières. The painting was hung behind the musicians who were not supposed to look at it. Tests at home had shown that if a musician contemplated the animation of the painting after a while, he forgot that it was he who was animating it, and captivated by the show, he would stop playing. The show was magnificent, and the painting, which measured only 1 meter by 1 meter, became huge at times when the light gushed from its sides. The ARCP had set up a small concert hall called La Sphère, and regularly musicians from a wide variety of genres came to perform times. As I was passionate about sound, Alan allowed me to come and record them. I did it many times with the high-quality equipment that I had at my disposal. It was on this occasion that I met the musicians I had been considering for the Montmartre concert. The concert was a great success, and 19 years later, in 2004, I was asked to perform it again, but this time with an excellent organist and during 4 days. I had invited a child friend, Jackie, whom I had placed in the front row. At the end of the show, he told me that at intermission he had gone to the back of the church to see the difference and that he had preferred it. He liked it close up, but from a distance the human fabrication was disappearing, and he could only see an even more magnificent jewel of animated light. One of my friends, the one who gave me the information for the astrological signs, arrived late and had to stand in the back. One of the musicians, Jean-Marie, whom I had known at the AICP, also arrived late and found himself next to Marie Kim. They never left each other again and lived together for many years. When I say that this painting exudes love, The same year, I was introduced to the management of the department store, Le Bon Marché, who ordered a painting for the Fashion Week. I was in the middle of my white period, and well, there was no music, all you could see was white. But when the sound came, you could see a gigantic eye in lights, which opened or closed in rhythm or changing color, as if it was feeling emotions. I even managed to make him cry. And when I look at him for the first time, by contagion, I start to cry too. I had called him the Eye of Fashion. On the heels of this success, the management of Le Bon Marché asked me to create a luminous illumination on the entire facade of the Boustico Square. Extrapolating apartment painting to this scale was not easy, but I managed to use one of the effects I had developed that swept the entire facade in green or orange depending on the high or lows. Although you couldn't hear the music, it was magical. One day, I was going with the engineer who worked with me to check out the brains of the installation on the roof of the store. It was very impressive. If my electronic brain only used less than 1 square meter, the security of the building made 4 times more. While checking the electrical intensity of our modules, Jean-Michel had a choke. Where there should have been only 100 volts, he measured 400. He was not used to working in 3-phase. Fortunately, the installation held the shock and we did not set fire to the star. The complexity of my animated painting in music was so complex that I could no longer manage. How to reconcile the play of light with painting? I found a lot of light effects that I had to do in small paintings separately to focus them, but I couldn't put them together. And I was looking for a guiding thread that would allow me to do it. As in addition, the pictorial expression of this period was too much in advance of the tastes of potential clients, Harris suggested that I concentrate on the luminous effect and their splendor and leave the canvas white. In fact, I would paint in dark blue a shape centered around a central ball on the reverse side of the white canvas to give depth to the play of light. As the price of this small picture was much lower, using few electronics modules, I sold a number of them until the last of the series I had called Eclipse. It was premonitory, because from that moment on, I was eclipsed and found myself withdrawn at home by no longer selling anything. Destiny. This was my white period. Iris, through her connections, got me involved in a French fortnight that was to take place in Dallas, Texas, in a Neiman Marcus department store. After the oldest French department store, it was the oldest American department store. On this occasion, I was asked to make a painting representing the state of Texas, whose fetish color is arranged with what's replicated in 6-screen painting. I had the idea, or the inspiration, to represent the contours of the map with, inside, elusive lines towards a 5-pointed star evoking oil wells. Then I learned that their motto is Lonely Star State. I have been well inspired. Then, out of curiosity, I placed the layer of the composition on the real map, and I saw that in the center of the star there is a small town, Eden, which made me think of East of Eden with James Dean. Again, the intervention of destiny, because it was from this commission that I took over the painting on the canvas, and which was a premonition of what was going to happen the following year. I was asked to send all the little animated painting with music that I could produce, which filled me with expectations. Arrival in Dallas with the French guest team. From the airport to the city center, it was only very luxurious buildings, far from the ugly suburbs that are usually found. But one should not rely on the appearance, as a young French woman who lives in this city and is part of the good society told me. She told me that in some neighborhoods people were so poor that when one of their own died, they could not afford to bury him properly, and threw him in the garbage dump. We went to see the exhibition, and oh, disappointment! Nothing had been presented according to my instructions. Instead of seeing off-stage show paintings presented in good conditions, they were hanged one next to the other in a narrow labyrinth where one had no stack on it, and moreover, there was no music. You had to scream or clap your hands to see them come alive. As I complained, they still installed a closed radio. My hopes were gone, and of course, nothing was sold. On the weekend, we were invited to a small reconstruction Wild West town at some distance from Dallas. The management of Neiman Marcus, having left their beautiful costumes for a cowboy outfit, wearing a station, offers us a show of the bank attacked with blank guns. I discovered the longhorn, these oxen with gigantic horns. At that time, when I had tried to wear a beard which didn't suit me at all, I had a very great vision, which I will talk about later. I returned to Paris very disappointed, and moreover, when the courier delivered my paintings to me, I discovered that most of them had their canvas pierced by the metal catches that were on some lamps. Luckily, the insurance company reimbursed me enough to make this expedition worthwhile. Before Dallas, I had received a commission from the National Center for the Plastic Arts to animate their logo in the entrance hall on Opera Avenue. I saw myself in full artistic and financial assumption, but it wasn't going to last.